The head of the U.S. Central Command responsible for the Middle East, General Michael Kurilla, told the U.S. House of Representatives that he had prepared a plan to strike Iran. He passed it on to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and President Donald Trump. The Times of Israel reports, "I have provided the Secretary of Defense and the President a wide range of options," Central Command head Michael Kurilla said during testimony before the House Armed Services Committee. Kurilla was responding to Representative Mike Rogers of Alabama, the chairman of the committee, who asked if CENTCOM was prepared to respond with overwhelming force if Iran does not permanently give up its nuclear ambitions. "I take that as a yes," the Alabama Republican asks after Kurilla responds. "Yes," Kurilla says. Earlier, President Trump allowed a strike on Iran if nuclear talks between Washington and Tehran failed to produce results. At a meeting of the House Armed Services Committee, Kurilla was asked whether the command was ready to fulfill their promise. He replied that he was ready to strike. "I have given the Secretary of Defense and the President a wide range of options," he said. According to the general, Iran has the capacity to produce 25 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium within 1 week of the decision. China's first nuclear warhead for a ballistic missile contained 16 kilograms of uranium, and the explosion yield was 12 kilotons, the Atomic Juice blog previously noted. The sixth round of talks between Iran and the US on the nuclear program is scheduled to take place in Muscat on June the 15th, Anadolu Agency reported on Tuesday. Washington is demanding that Tehran completely abandon its uranium enrichment program. Iran considers the proposal unacceptable, but is ready to limit it in order to lift sanctions. Trump told Fox News that Iran was being much more aggressive in the talks than it had been a few days ago, and that he did not know why. Iranian leader Ayatollah Khamenei said the same day that enriching nuclear fuel was an unalienable right of Iran, like the right of any sovereign state, and that the Iranian nation would not give it up. "We will not come down from this mountain," the Middle East Spectator quoted the Ayatollah as saying.
U.S. President Donald Trump is visiting Fort Bragg to mark the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. At the same time, he deploys members of another branch, the U.S. Marines, to Los Angeles to join the National Guard in response to immigration protests. According to Associated Press, Trump used a speech ostensibly supposed to be used to recognize the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army to denounce the protesters in Los Angeles while repeating his false statements about the 2020 election being rigged and attacking the previous commander-in-chief, former President Joe Biden. Trump has authorized the deployment of 4,000 National Guard soldiers to the city over the objections of Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom. About 700 Marines were deployed to the Los Angeles area, but had not yet been sent to respond to the protests. The president also made a much-anticipated announcement to reverse the name changes by the Biden administration of 7 other bases that honored important Confederate figures. "We are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee," Trump said. "We won a lot of battles out of those forts, and it's not time to change. And I'm superstitious, you know. I like to keep it going, right?" The Trump administration earlier this year announced it was restoring the names of Fort Bragg and Fort Benning, which had also been changed by Biden. As Trump ended his more than 50-minute address, he reminded the troops of his defiant words to rallygoers after he was nearly assassinated at a rally in Pennsylvania last year. "You will do something that has become quite a public and famous little phrase also," Trump said. "But you're a hell of a lot braver than me. You will fight, 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 and you will win, win, win." Trump received plenty of cheers, which laughed at the president's jokes and delighted in his dancing to his campaign anthem of YMCA. However, some in the audience were uneasy with parts of his remarks. Trump has promoted the Army's anniversary as a reason to hold the parade on Saturday, which is also his 79th birthday. Tanks and other vehicles will roll down city streets in a reminder of how the Republican president is reshaping the armed forces after returning to the White House this year. Fort Bragg, which is located near Fayetteville, North Carolina, serves as headquarters for U.S. Army Special Operations Command. Highly trained units like the Green Berets and the 82nd Airborne are based there.
Wow, that's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg. What a show it was, and what a show it continues to be, and Saturday is going to be a big day in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of people said, we don't want to do that. I say, yeah, we do. We want to show off a little bit. You know, recently, other countries celebrated the victory of World War I. France was celebrating, really. They were all celebrating. The only one that doesn't celebrate is the USA, and we're the ones that won the war. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now. Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. And we don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our greatness and our achievements. This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell. Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you dare to threaten the American people, American soldier will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. That's